And we did it, and they were not members of our organization.
Okay.
Ministry of the Future went in his pocket and did that solely out of the benevolence of our heart.
Yeah. Okay, my next question is, you once said that African diasporans are now an open soft target. Can you elaborate on it for us?
But one of the things that one has to understand, we're living in really trying times in the world, particularly in Africa. As you know, they say in the developed world, if you get a cold and you sneeze, we in the developing countries, you sneeze, we get pneumonia here. So the unemployment situation in the developing world, meaning Ghana is a developing country, has only been independent since 1957. We have anywhere from perhaps about 60% above of youth unemployment. They're not employed. And you know, a hungry man, as Bob Marley said, is an angry man. And so you have a situation here where Africans of the diaspora, is no two ways about it right now. African Americans, African Caribbeans, even from Black Brits, they all are leaving those countries because of the destitute situation that they're in there, and they're coming to Ghana because Ghana has established itself from the good works that Ministry of the Future did in 2016 as the gateway into Africa. And I put emphasis on the fact that Ghana is the gateway, but not necessarily the last stop. Okay. But nevertheless, these groups that are coming in right now, they are coming in and they need the assistance of Ministry of the Future in what they are doing. So Ministry of the Future has now had to rise to the occasion to assist these groups that are coming in. Bring the question up again, my brother, please.
Okay. My question was, you've once said that diasporans are currently an open soft target.
Yeah. Let me expound upon that. Now, having said that what it is the situation is that with the unemployment situation here in Ghana, and for that matter throughout Africa, you have to understand the indigenous population, especially amongst the youth. You see, whether you know you're African American, whether you're African Caribbean, Africans or Ghanaians do not see it as they see you as an African diaspora. Irrespective of whether you came from Jamaica, come from the United States, Canada, or Black Brit, you are African diaspora. And as long as you're able enough to come in here on the airline ticket, you're coming looking dressed clean, you're moving into an apartment, and you're moving about, you eat good food, while people here are finding it extremely difficult. So the long and the short of that, you find the indigenous people will look at you. And as I say, there's only two visible foreign nationals that are in Ghana that would bring attention to the eyes of the indigenous people. And those two foreign nationals are Chinese and Africans of the diaspora, particularly African Americans. And so with the Chinese, Ghanaians and Africans know they cannot touch them because China has an embassy, she has a superpower weight, and she take care of her own. But Africans of the diaspora, African Americans, African Black Brits, we don't have the protection of our embassy. If you did, you would not be coming here in the first place. And so the indigenous people, obviously, I'm not saying all indigenous people, because you know, in every country you go, you got unscrupulous minds, you got criminals, and so they are looking at the Africans of the diaspora, and they see that we, the African of the diaspora here in Ghana, is really not organized. They have no protection of the embassy, and so you find a situation where unscrupulous minded criminals move in on what they consider to be a soft spot, a soft target. And that is the African of the diaspora. And I bear witness over the fact it bears out to what I said over a year ago. If we do not get organized and start galvanizing as a solid community, that you're going to find many cases where Africans of the diaspora are going to be attacked, and many of them are going to get their property repossessed. Many of them are going to be scammed. And so we're having situations where Africans of the diaspora are beginning to come forward to say that they are being scammed. In the central region of Ghana, in the Asebu area, there's been many reports about Africans of the diaspora spent their money honestly on land and come to find out they could not have closure on that land. They couldn't get an indenture. We have that around the greater Accra. Then you had the recent situation about the demolishment of the African Hebrews property. Now, I can't go into detail on that, but the information that's coming out is that it was an unfair, demolition that was done without redress to the authorities and law. But of course, that I'm sure is still under investigation, so I don't want to make any particular statement. But what I will say is this. One of the things in being in Africa for a long period of time, you realize that Africans of the diaspora, if you come here and you're opening up a project, the first thing, not only should you register to make sure that you are legal and pay the authorities for whatever services that are rendered to you, the land or whatever, but you must empower the indigenous community around you so that community will protect you. And that community, if it feels that it is benefiting from your project that you have there, it will protect you from anyone coming to demolish your area. And if they do not protect you, it means there must be a gap between you and the indigenous community. So my message to you is support the community around you so it can defend you from these unscrupulous minds and some criminals trying to come after you.
Okay, we are going for a quick commercial. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that quick break. Let's move on with our questions. Dr. Maulana, with different and everything going on in Ghana now, on the continent of Africa and abroad, what do you see as the real issues for diasporans and the solution?
Well, the solution, number one, is first of all, Africans of the diaspora have to galvanize and become united as one. We cannot move individually or splintered as seems to be the case right now. And even there is a perceptive view by many of the indigenous here that the only thing that Africans of the diaspora are coming here to do is to be a part of the Afrochella, the party, and which is not true. So we have to organize. Now, my proposal, Ministry of the Future, and I must say, I can back this up with 52 years of African experience living and working on the continent. That is to say that now Ministry of the Future says the way forward for Africans of the diaspora to be reintegrated back into the African family, and where the African family indigenous can benefit and we can collectively have a win-win situation for both, is to establish an African diaspora business commerce village. Okay. The village is not for living, residential. No. Okay. It is a commerce village. And that village is predicated upon having inside pavilions that have chambers of commerce that are representatives of each diaspora who come from different countries, like in the Caribbean, the Jamaican Chamber of Commerce inside, Trinidad Tobago, African American Chamber of Commerce, Canada, Black Chamber of Commerce, Britain, Black Chamber. All of this they would have their chambers of commerce inside to be doing business and linked directly with their countries from where they have come from, and also registered through Ministry of the Future in this African diaspora business commerce village with the state protocol of the country that we are in. And so by virtue of that, we will be able to bring high tech in the African diaspora business commerce village. We will set up the apparatus of incubation, business cubicles, because many Africans of the diaspora, when they come here and want to do business, how are they going to come and satisfy the Ghana promotion business council by putting up $1 million? They just can't do it. And then again, if they come here all the way, making their way from the U.S., making their way from the Caribbean, how are they going to come here and rent an office? They don't know anything about the market system here. We will have all that information available in the African Diaspora Business Commerce Village. And we will have cubicles where they will be able, we have a general secretary that will cover all of the cubicles for each one that want to set up a business as a startup. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So this would be a jumpstart situation to get our people into the market economy of these African countries that we are in. And starting with Ghana, it will give you access to the whole ECOWAS, over 15 to 16 different countries, with a multi-trillion-dollar budget of all these countries, and they need just about everything. The African Diaspora Business Commerce Village would be able to furnish many of the things that these countries need, and by virtue of you being under the umbrella of the sovereignty of the state of Ghana, you will have access to go in to do business and register your business in other African countries. without fear nor favor.
So many people, especially diasporans, are willing to move from other countries and settle in Africa. What is the way forward, and what would be your advice for them?
Well, what I would say, first of all, so many Africans of the diaspora, because the exodus is on, they are scattered throughout the African continent, South Africa, Gabon, Tanzania, Senegal, the Gambia. But my answer to that is simply this. Ghana has already established itself as really the portal, if you will, for Africans of the diaspora, the gateway into Africa. Now, what has happened of late, because many Africans of the diaspora, particularly African American, they do not study the countries that they are going to before they go there. They just pack their bags and believe just because they are of African descent that they can just drop down in these countries. It doesn't work like that on the African continent. Ethnicity of the African continent is extremely important to understand. You must study the culture of the country, study the laws of the country. Now, what has happened lately, and I say this as fact, Ministry of the Future, I personally have received 3 very dire telephone calls from 3 African American sisters, and one was a family based in Tanzania, and according to them, they were being abused. They didn't like the country. One African American sister called me, and this was just about a week ago. The sister said that she had been raped and said that her money had been stolen, her passport had been stolen. She had filed a report, and she wants to get out, but she wants to come to Ghana, but she doesn't know how to come to Ghana. So I'm not saying that Tanzania is a bad country. I'm only narrating to you what some of the individuals have narrated to me. Okay. And so I said, well, the best thing for you to do is to get out of Tanzania. Come to Ghana. And Ministry of the Future has shown the roadmap on how they go about doing it. Ministry of the Future has helped in Britain, say for an example. Just about a week and a half ago, a mother with a nursing baby, only about 3.5 months old, with about four little toddlers under the age of 7. Ministry of the Future helped them to get visa on arrival. And I want to say that Ministry of the Future has helped many of our people to get visas on arrival at the